like to welcome everybody back to another edition of JB the Mentor, better known as the Sniff Agent. Now this week we're going to deviate from my normal uploads, which would be to introduce you to a fragrance or fragrances that you're unfamiliar with that I think you should put into your fragrance arsenal. So where we're going this week is simply this. 5-6 years ago, when I decided that fragrances was something I wanted to talk about, something I wanted to share, and I wanted the whole world to know that this was something that was very important to me. There was one person that motivated me more than anybody else, and that was the late, great Kevin Samuels. Now, when I was watching him at the beginning, he was talking about men's style and men's fragrances. He didn't morph into the giant that he had become, shared his views and his philosophy on relationships. But I want to take some time just to share some thoughts about this giant in social media, this giant that had people talking, had people contemplating next steps, next moves, and most importantly, what black love was. But for me, it started right here with this fragrance right here. So I saw him for the first time and he talked about an amazing scent called Molecules 01, Eccentric Molecules 01. And I said, wow, sounds interesting. I went out and I purchased this bottle right here. And I concurred. He had stumbled upon a fragrance that was unlike anything else that ever existed in the fragrance world. I went out, I purchased it, but I was purchasing fragrances long before I came across Kevin Samuels. But what he was able to do, or what I was able to get from him, was sharing my passion, sharing my love for scents and what they could do. His thoughtfulness on men's dress, his thoughtfulness on what men wore, his thoughtfulness on how much a fragrance could change the perception, the trajectory of where a man was going. He talked about this high value man. And the high value man, in my estimation, wasn't just someone that had a pocket full of money, somebody that had an outstanding education, this collegial monster that also dibbled and dabbled in financial pursuits, but it was also someone that understood what a scent could do, how that could allure, how that could attract somebody, how that could keep somebody's attention, or just do enough to create a conversation that would put you smack dead center in that space no matter where you existed. That's what he was able to relay to me, and that's what I walked away with. So when I became familiar or introduced to this fragrance right here because of Kevin Samuels, I understood one thing, that fragrance is a tool. Fragrance can be a companion. Fragrance is a way of expressing how you feel that day, who you are, and what are some of the things that you are trying to exhibit and present, because you want the world to take you serious. This right here can be your best friend if you allow it. A fragrance itself can be a tool or a device that takes you in certain places normally you would never get to. Most importantly, meeting people, conjuring up conversations, and just having people look at you for a brief moment and say, damn, that guy or that female smells good. Now, I'm not here to talk about his political views because I don't think I'm qualified, because that is something that he did so well. I don't know if addressing it is really, if this is really the place and time. But what is the place and time is to tell you that this Molecules 01 is outstanding. And I feel that it's worthy of a blind buy. I feel that if you don't know anything about fragrances and you want to take a chance, this is the fragrance that could bring you into that arena. This is the fragrance that could bring you into that space where you don't take too many risks, but the benefits are enormous. Mr. Samuels reminded me, and probably millions, that a package put together is not just a shirt, tie, it's not just an abundance of education, it's not the car you drive, but it's the mindset that you possess and the attitude that drives you from point A to point B. And the finishing touches can be a fragrance. That's the exclamation point that says, I have the complete package. So, what am I saying ultimately? That 5-6 years ago, I came across an individual that made me realize that this wasn't just something to make me smell good. This was a statement. This was a declaration. This was a moment in my life about what conclusions I could draw about wearing different fragrances. But this fragrance right here was the fragrance that started this whole love, this journey that I'm now on. And I don't think I would have taken it as serious if I didn't come across Kevin Samuels. Now, there were other channels that displayed, different fragrances, but it didn't resonate with me as much because Kevin Samuels had a unique way of expressing a fragrance. He had a unique way of expressing the benefits, the end game, how it could transform or remodel you in such a way that you would feel better about yourself. And people all around you would then, make a few adjustments as to whether or not they got the message that you was trying to present and display. At the end of the day, a fragrance is so much more than a beautiful scent. It's a tool. And if you use that tool correctly, the results and the outcome that you're looking for will be beyond your wildest imagination. So I'm just taking the time to salute one of the best fragrance reviewers to ever spray a bottle, touch a bottle, assess a bottle, think about the multiple ways that a fragrance could impact your life and as a result, impact everybody around you. Kevin Samuels, I'm going to take the time to say that you have touched me, you have touched countless others, and the way you have been so thoughtful about fragrances, men's style, and how this brings a certain level of elegance and confidence to an individual, it will never be forgotten. And in my book, and in my estimation, you were a true giant and you will never be forgotten. And as long as I continue to assess fragrances, you will be a beacon of light with every fragrance that I come across, every fragrance that I sniff, every fragrance that I wear. Here is the spray that started it all for me, and I'm going to assume maybe thousands or hundreds of others that want to go into this, what I would call a profession, and didn't know how to do it. But you help conjure up that courage. You help conjure up those voices. And now there's a legion of people that now believe that fragrance can be a man or woman's best friends. So let me wrap it up by saying good night to the debonair, elegant, dapper Don, Godfather, the man that brought back sexy, and the individual that had changed the fragrance game forever in a day. Mr. Samuels, you rest in peace, and as I said before, you will live longer than any bottle of fragrance for decades and eons to come. Rest in peace, my brother.